Imagine this. You're offered unlimited free food, no work, no competition, no risk. It sounds like the perfect opportunity. But what if that gift was actually a trap? And what if the same trap has been used on people for centuries? This story begins with a dead pig and ends with a lesson about human nature. A farmer threw a dead pig into a well. The smell spread through the area. Before long, hundreds of rats caught the scent. To them, it was a dream. A massive source of food, completely free. One by one, they jumped into the well. Soon, the place was crowded. The rats ate together. There was no fighting, no competition, no conflict, just abundance. Everything seemed perfect. But while they were focused on what was inside the well, they forgot to pay attention to what surrounded them. The walls, the depth, the fact that getting in was easy, but getting out might not be. And that's how many traps work. They don't force you inside. They attract you inside. The rats kept eating until nothing remained. The pig was gone. The feast was over. And that's when reality arrived. The rats tried to climb out. Again, and again, and again. But the walls were too steep. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't escape. For the first time, panic began to spread. At first, they stayed hopeful. Maybe tomorrow, maybe someone would find a way out. Maybe things would get better. But tomorrow came, and then another tomorrow. Nothing changed. The food was gone. The hunger remained. Days turned into weeks. The well became a prison. And something interesting started happening. The real enemy was the well. The real problem was the trap. But the rats stopped focusing on that. Instead, they started focusing on each other. As hunger grew stronger, trust grew weaker. The rats that had once eaten side by side now looked at one another differently. Every rat became a competitor. Every rat became an obstacle. Every rat became a potential meal. Soon, the first attack happened. Then another. Then another. Before long, survival became the only rule. The well turned into chaos. The trapped rats began killing and eating one another. Not because they wanted to, but because desperation changes behavior. When creatures become scared enough, hungry enough, and trapped enough, their priorities change. Survival replaces morality. Fear replaces reason. Instinct replaces cooperation. One by one, the rats disappeared. The population kept shrinking. Hundreds became dozens. Dozens became a handful. And eventually, only one rat remained. It had survived, but survival came at a terrible cost. Its eyes were red. Its body was scarred. Its behavior had changed completely. The rat that entered the well no longer existed. A different creature stood in its place. Sometime later, the farmer returned. He looked into the well, saw the lone survivor, and pulled it out. Finally, the rat was free. The cage was gone. The nightmare was over. At least, that's what everyone would assume, but they were wrong, because while the rat had escaped the well had never escaped the rat. Months of violence had changed it. Months of survival had rewired it. Months of seeing its own kind as food had become a habit. When it returned to the fields, it didn't go back to eating grain. It didn't return to normal life. Instead, it hunted other rats. The trap had altered its nature, and that's what makes this story so disturbing. Because this isn't really about rats. It's about a pattern that appears throughout human history. Again and again, people find themselves trapped inside difficult situations. Economic pressure, political conflict, social division, competition for resources, fear about the future. And when that pressure becomes intense enough, something predictable happens. People stop looking at the system that trapped them and start blaming the people trapped beside them. Neighbor turns against neighbor. Group turns against group. Worker turns against worker. Citizen turns against citizen. Everyone becomes focused on fighting one another. Meanwhile, the original problem remains untouched. This strategy has existed for centuries. Many people call it divide and conquer. You don't need to control everyone directly. You only need to create conditions where people fight each other. Because divided people are easier to influence than united people. A united group asks questions. A divided group argues. A united group searches for solutions. A divided group searches for enemies. And that's the divide trap, a trap where people become so busy fighting each other that they forget to examine the cage around them. Tragedy isn't just the conflict. The tragedy is transformation. Just like the rat in the well, people can spend so much time in an unhealthy environment that they begin adapting to it. What once felt wrong starts feeling normal. What once felt shocking becomes expected. And eventually, the trap starts shaping who they are. That's why awareness matters. The moment you recognize the trap, you gain the power to resist it. So the next time you're encouraged to hate, attack, or blame the people standing beside you, pause for a moment. Look beyond the conflict. Ask yourself a simple question. Who benefits from this division? Because sometimes, the people fighting each other aren't the winners. They're just the ones trapped inside the well. And if you ever find yourself in that situation, get out before the trap changes who you are.